In 3, 2, 1.
John, are we live?
We are live in studio.
What's going on, buddy?
Not too much. Great weekend. Missed you.
Oh, that's cute.
Looking forward to hearing some good stories about Italy.
Well, Italy was a blast. I had a lot of fun. I think we were just talking off air. The one thing that shocked me about Italy was that the food, and my cousin, who's my Facebook friend and was in Italy with me, and my dad, is about to probably send me some hate messages for this because he was giving me crap the whole week. I don't think the food was as good as everybody made it out to be. I was posting on Instagram on my story a couple times about the food being okay and the wine being okay, and I got a bunch of people sending me like hate inbox messages like, you're not eating at the right spots. And I'm like, I've ate everywhere. And I think it's because Chicago has such a good food industry. Like, I got a buddy of mine, Sean, owns Basil Leaf Cafe. My buddy Luke with Sienna Tavern. Their Italian food's just as good as Italy's. Mm-hmm. They had really good cheese. I had good pizza a couple times. But if you're going there strictly for food,
yes,
not blown away. But the city's really cool. I mean, stuff that's 2,000, 2,500 years old and it's still standing. I mean, like, you think about the U.S., we got history for 250 years or so. That's 10 times as much. It was really cool. The Colosseum was cool. I got a ridiculous tour of the Vatican.
Nice.
My aunt knew a very high priest, so we actually were able to drive through Vatican City, which is it's its own country essentially. So you have to drive into Vatican City, and like the normal public, we were laughing the whole time. They got to stand in line. I drove through actual Vatican City, saw the garden, so that was really cool. Shout out to my dad because we do shout outs at the beginning. He was presenting at a cardiology conference, really kicked butt. I'm very biased because my dad, but a lot of people listening said he had the best presentation. So shout out to him. It was really cool to go out there and watch him. And shout out to my mom, whose birthday it was on the 19th, and I missed, but I'm going to take her out on Sunday.
Oh, happy
Those
birthday.
are my shout outs. What about you?
Those are great shout-outs.
By the way, John always, I'm telling Tim this, always out shout-outs me. He's a one-upper with shout-outs. So he's always got like 2 or 3 better shout-outs. So I'm waiting to hear. Oh, one more before you go. Yes. Shout-out I just ran over here from the Union League Boys and Girls Club. I'm in a T-shirt because I was with the Chicago Association of Realtors YPN group. We were out there with the kids, just hanging out, playing with the kids. They were a riot. Big shout out to Carr for putting on these events. We had a lot of fun. They were kicking our butts at dodgeball. And these kids were like half of my size, and they were kicking our butts at everything.
Half your size.
Half my size.
Half your size.
So they were lined up, and this was awesome. One of the girls in our group asked, who do you think is the youngest? And I'm the oldest, I think, in the YPN, but they pointed at me. And the joke is I think I'm closest to their size.
Oh, okay.
So they just assumed I was the youngest.
Very
but
good.
Shout out to the kids for making me feel good today.
That's awesome.
How about you? Shout outs.
Well, shout outs, to be honest with you. I was following your trip to Italy via Instagram and Facebook and such. And I was also, I've never met the gentleman, but you always speak very highly of him, of course. And I just think it was great what your dad did as far as the presentation and getting over there and doing some really good work. Shout out to you, actually, because you took time. You wanted to go and spend time with him. I find family to be very important. I think it was great that you wanted to do that so much and that you did that. And then I'm going to, beyond that, I'm going to put up a little B-roll.
Okay. What are we watching?
So what we're watching right now is just a few quick clips. I was at Morgan Manufacturing over the weekend for the Culinary Fight Fest. And what that is around the country, it's chefs that compete, and the top 17 chefs from all the variety of major markets all came in to Chicago. And on Sunday, there was this huge display of fantastic food that I got a chance to take advantage of. And then on Monday, they had the Final Four, and Jawan McCartney, who was down in Springfield doing some charity work last night, was supposed to be here with us today to explain a little bit more about it. And Fight to Feed is the charity wing of this. So we're going to have her on next month or the month after to really explain what they do. But the chefs that were competing in this competition all get together around the holidays and throughout the year, actually, and cook food and go out to homeless shelters and drop off fully cooked, very nutritious meals for people who need it. And it's the food is from food distributors that have over-ordered, and there's, the clock is ticking, so rather than throwing food away, they go out, load up trucks, not just drop off raw food, but actually cook the meals and then take them out and distribute them. It's a fantastic organization that we'll be hearing a lot more about in the future. So my shout out to the chefs and the charitable organization as a whole.
Very, very cool. What were they? It's Fight to, what is it, Steve?
So the organization, the charity wing of it, is called Fight to Feed.
Okay.
And
then Culinary Fight Club is the competition arm, right?
Exactly.
What were they competing? What were they cooking?
Oh my goodness. I did a couple of different tastings, and I think it was about 10,000 calories because it was sauces and cheese and such. But I was doing anything from, they were doing tenderloin and lobster with bisque sauce on top.
Whoa.
And I'm talking one bite, but just unbelievable. Pastas, there was a couple from Wisconsin, and they did, I'm not going to give its proper due, but they were meatballs made from bratwurst meat in beer and cheddar. And it was like a taste explosion. It was like going to a football game and taking everything that you would think from a football game and eating it all at the same time. It was fantastic.
I saw on her website, and I'm going to have to ask this of her when she gets on the show, they have like an egg cookout. And I got a big green egg, and I'm obsessed with it now. Uh-huh. And it's not in Chicago. Otherwise, I've wanted to do a little rib cook-off, but they said 60 minutes. It takes me like 6 hours to do my ribs. But they have a big green egg cook-off. I'm in.
Well, when she's here with us, you can ask her, because the organization itself is so creative in how they use the culinary talents of people to help in a charitable way, but also in a commercial way. I mean, I'm talking a lot about the charity, but the event itself was super fun. And it was just from station to station to station, and there was a DJ, and there was a blackjack table, and I mean, it was a party. It really was a party. It was
very
a lot
cool.
of fun. So while I was there working, we'll go with working, I was also eating and enjoying a couple libations and some music and talking with some really great people.
So we both got fat over the weekend. we both need to take a little bit of a diet.
More than the other, I think.
I gained 12 pounds. I weighed myself right before I went, and I weighed myself this morning. I was 12 pounds heavier. I got one workout in, and then after that, I was like, yeah, I'm done. So I gotta shed 12. We got some shout-outs already, and then we're going to get into our guests. We got Bree. Just a heads up, John is hard to hear. She also said, yay, Tim Frank. And then Maggie said, go get him, guys. And that's a perfect bump and set for our first guest, who's the owner and creator of Foxhole Creative. And he's going to be telling us about the Great American Lobster Fest, which I'm so bummed I'm missing because I'm going to be gone Labor Day weekend. But it's like this is the perfect food episode.
It really
John.
is.
This is perfect. So thanks for coming on, Tim.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about both. Tell us about Foxhole and then the Great American Lobster Fest.
Yeah, so Foxhole Creative is a creative production company, sort of all-encompassing video, audio, events, and design as a whole. So what we do is all of those things, and specifically with more on the creative production end, helping brands activate at various festivals and set up their booths in their areas and come up with neat sort of cool ways to activate their brand. And sort of a branch, how we sort of branched off is doing our own event as well, which is the Great American Lobster Fest. And this is our 5th year at Navy Pier, Labor Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, August 31, September 1st, September 2nd. And we've been there since 2014, and basically it all came about. A lot of people, think lobster in the Midwest, like what are you doing? That's crazy. And that's sort of why we liked it. So let's do something that is a little more or less common and bring something to people that they can't get. And so it sort of started years and years ago when my friends and I used to throw a 4th of July fish fry. And then I started working with other events and festivals, and one day I was like, hey, I think we can do this ourselves. And I met our partners at Green Curtain Events, and we sort of teamed up, and together we created the Great American Lobster Fest.
I love it. I'm a big lobster fan. If you had to ask me what my favorite type of food is, it would be seafood. Do you have a favorite seafood spot? Or that's probably a loaded question. Do you have a couple?
Yeah, I do. Well, when it comes to Chicago specifically.
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, I think Devon Seafood. Have you been there? Yeah, they're probably my favorite. And there is this little place on Montrose where you can get unlimited
crab legs.
Crab legs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The king crab.
Yep. It's slipping my mind too because I've been there and have
my tongue, but it's like a diner. No,
yeah, it's like a little diner. Oh God,
we'll think of it.
It's gonna bug. We'll think of it because it's gonna bug me a ton.
We'll think of it.
How about Bob? Have you been to Bob Chin's?
Bob Chin's
in Wheeling.
It's
probably my favorite restaurant.
I think I have. Yeah, no, actually I haven't. But a good friend of mine,
go.
Dave Langley, told me about Bob Chin's, and he said we've got to go there.
It's amazing because he flies in food fresh almost every day, and he's got his tickets up on the wall as you walk in so you can see it. And it's very casual dining. So you go in there and you're like, this looks like a very casual spot. And then you get the menu and everything's really expensive, but it's amazing. It's my go-to every birthday. So when family would be like, where do you want to go? I'm like, Bob Chin's.
Bob Chin's.
It's amazing.
That's what I hear. I got to go.
Really, really good. Just out in the suburbs. And the Great American Lobster Fest is not just in Chicago, right? You guys are in a couple different locations
now?
now?
So this year, for the first year, we branched out. We teamed up with Lobster Graham, which they're the presenting sponsors, and they sort of helped us be able to sort of stretch our legs. And so we did it in Omaha earlier this year, which is kind of a crazy story there. And then we're doing it here in Chicago in just about a week, and then in Detroit 2 weeks after that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's our first year's branching out. And in Omaha, it was kind of crazy. We did it during 4th of July weekend, and our park flooded. The river overflowed, and so we had to move it last minute.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that was pretty crazy, pretty much a scramble. So we ended up in a parking lot, essentially, in the Horseshoe Casino.
I bet it was still fun.
It was definitely still fun, but it was higher stress situation than normal. But we still pulled it off, and everybody came together to make it happen. The team that I work with the Great American Lobster Fest is unmatched. They're all awesome, and it's a pretty good, great thing to be a part of.
You're not gonna have it near a river in Detroit, then. You guys learned that lesson, I'm guessing.
No, it still is.
It is
on the water there, but it's a little different, so it's not as low. So I think it'll be all good.
Very, very cool. And when's Detroit?
So that's September 14th, 15th, and 16th.
So quick turnaround from Chicago.
Yeah, just 2 weeks after.
Very cool. How many vendors are going to be in Chicago?
So from a food standpoint, or overall, we're probably talking about 25 different vendors. But food specifically, we have everything. We self cater with Lobster Graham as the sort of main source for all the lobster items, and then you've got about 4 or 5 others. There's going to be churros, too, and there's lots of land food. We call it land food, but, for people who don't like seafood. You've got barbecue, smoked ribs, elotes, corn on the cob, and lots of different, chicken and different options as well. So something for everybody.
And that's a busy weekend at Navy Pier because that's the end of the fireworks, right?
That's right.
That's
so Saturday is the final fireworks show, the Aeon fireworks show.
Yeah.
So you can watch it at the end of the pier. We sort of take over the end of Navy Pier and in the grand ballroom. So indoor, outdoor. So just in case it rains, you can still party on.
Very cool. I lived in Streeterville at 512 McClurg, and I used to watch the fireworks every Wednesday and Saturday night from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I always knew that was kind of the end of it. So that's going to be a packed house.
Yeah, hopefully.
Especially Saturday.
Hopefully, yeah.
Awesome.
So and it's free too, so you can just show up and then buy your food and beverage tickets there, decide what you want to eat when you get there. Or you can get a VIP ticket, which is definitely the way to go, or sort of secure your lobster meal. Or there's a thing called the Lobster Hero Feast, which is all you can eat. Whole lobster for a 3-hour period. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
You get some crazy eaters showing up for that.
Yeah. So always a good time for sure.
I'm so bummed I'm gonna miss it. John, are you going to it?
I'm absolutely going to it.
All right, good.
I'm bummed.
Absolutely going to be there.
How's John? Can you hear John better, guys?
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear you, John. John says he's absolutely going.
I'm absolutely going.
You'll have to go live from WheelHouse while you're there and do a little.
Do that, sure.
I see you played a little bit of a promo there. I mean, I'm delayed a little bit, so.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. I'm bummed I'm not going to be there this year. I'm racing Labor Day weekend, so I'm definitely can't make it. John, are we putting up a link of how to get tickets and information too?
We have been putting some things out. We're going to do a segment or two. Not sure if I can be heard. I can see myself.
Can't hear John. Frown face. So we're going to put out a segment or two. I'll just kind of reiterate what you're saying.
We are. So yes, I'm going to make sure to put out a segment or two with a link to the fest website and ticket site.
Very cool. So yeah, we're going to put out some segments with some links. So for those of you watching, whether you're in Chicago or the suburbs, come out to the Great American Lobster Fest. Obviously a lot of awesome food, and it's a pretty cool event. Let's touch on Foxhole Creative. So when did that start?
So yeah, Foxhole Creative technically started in 2012, and I used to sort of have this old coach house with a big garage, and I lived above it, and it was just for me to practice with my band. And then I built a voiceover studio because I dabble in the acting and music world, and it was a larger area, and after a while people started saying, hey, can I rent your space to rehearse our play or whatever it might be. And so I saw that there was a need for that, so eventually we moved out, found our storefront where we are now in Lincoln Square, and sort of said, let's sort of start backwards, get a space first, and we can rent it out to sort of help subsidize everything, help pay for everything, and then we'll slowly add on to what our services are. And this is when we started adding video, audio, and different sort of creative production elements.
Very cool. So it was just kind of out of a need. You were doing that space, people started asking, and then the business kind of came about.
Yeah. Sort of give the people what they want was the sort of situation. And it's sort of interesting because it's hard to sort of pigeonhole what we do exactly to one thing, but we're sort of okay with that, and that's why we sort of label it as creative production, because it seems like in today's world you can't really just do one thing, and why not? I mean, technology enables us to do multiple things, and that's sort of
the average millionaire, they say, has 7 streams of income. So you guys have several different streams of revenue coming in. There you
go. Not quite a millionaire, but
on your way. I love your website. We were just talking about that. It's fun. It's sarcastic. You guys have like sarcastic little clippets about yourselves. So it was pretty neat.
And shout out to Bree Babb for that from Babb Creative. She helped us with that, and she's awesome for your design needs and website needs.
Yeah, and she's a fan. She's watching us and telling us, John, she can't hear John. So thank you,
Can
Bree.
you hear John now? Test your mic.
I'm working on it.
John's over there trying to figure his mic out. That's fine. We're not going to talk to you anymore, John. We're done with you for the rest of the day. One-upping shout-outs. Now you're done. I pulled your mic. Very cool. So it started as event planning or event rental space. How did it evolve into what it is today? You just kind of found each person you were working with had a unique need, and then you guys evolved into kind of what Foxhole is today?
Yeah, sort of. Our main offering, I would say, is our video production work, and I've had a passion for video work since when I started playing in my band and making our own videos back in like 2008, and probably even before that when we'd make funny, stupid little videos when, in the late 90s, right? Like with my friends and stuff. And so it's interesting, like it started to become, let's offer the different things based on the people we're working with and who are part of our collective, as we call it. And it sort of evolved that way. I started freelancing and working with different various creative agencies in New York City, one of which Mother, and that sort of found a passion for the creative production side of things aside from video, and to say, we really want to work with brands to sort of help them implement sort of their experiential marketing wing. And so while we won't say we're necessarily an agency, because we work with a lot of agencies, and we like to go that direction, we want to go that direction, is to help a brand create videos or content or experiences for consumers to enjoy at various events.
Video marketing has become such a big thing. I was talking to a guy recently and he was at a wedding I was at, and one of my friends introduced this and said, he's an entrepreneur. And I was like, what do you do? And he said, I run paintball events. And I said, that's kind of cool. Like, what do you do with it? He goes, well, we put out all these clips and these videos after the paintball events, and we run some live videos from our events. He goes, we've gotten so many viewers to our paintball events and our videos that YouTube like writes them $10,000 checks like constantly. So
oh, wow. Yeah.
Another weird thing he did, not weird, but it's smart. Everything's a data play. He had everybody who subscribes sign up for discounts with different paintball organizations, and then sold the email list for $4 million, which is crazy.
Wow.
Because all these different companies that needed to sell to people who were interested in this, in paintballing and this sport, were buying all these emails.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's so awesome. And it all came from creative video marketing. And I was like,
Crazy.
wow, it's
I
brilliant.
didn't even know you could do that. I thought you couldn't sell emails.
So you have to be able to disclose properly that you are going to use their emails for, secondary marketing.
Sure.
We have a tech startup, and we hired a law firm out of Louisiana to just make sure that all of our disclosures were good, so we wouldn't get sued. But everything's like a data play now. So he just said, hey, we kind of fell upon this, and we had this huge email list, and somebody told us that we can sell this email list, but we have to be able to disclose properly to them. Apparently he did, and sold the list for $4 million.
Wow.
I was like, holy smokes. But I love how much videos evolved. So you were saying like in the 90s you were doing goofy videos, and I don't know how goofy they were,
sure,
were they fun or not, like funny stuff. I don't know if it was like the Jackass type stuff where you guys were just messing around.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it evolved, but video has become technologically so advanced and so sharp. You can do so much stuff. I mean, I've watched John do some stuff on here. That's awesome. He can integrate video into a live stream.
Wirelessly, yeah.
Yeah. Have you really appreciated the growth of video marketing in that sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's easier.
And it's interesting because I think it's never going to go away. Video is only going to keep becoming more and more the best way to get your message out there. And people, these days our attention spans and whatnot, we don't necessarily want to read as much, it seems.
Right.
You're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, you want to watch a video, look at a picture, get the message that way. And I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. But from a technology standpoint, you have people who are graduating from different colleges or online courses, and new videographers coming out, sort of like flooding the market. You can look left and right, and most anybody's got a camera these days, know, and so certainly on your phone you do. And so it really becomes about how do you approach the process differently, and how can you say, yeah, we can make you a video for you, or a commercial for you to run on social media, but then at Foxhole, we try not to then just like leave you with that. We want to then say, all right, well, what's next? How do we turn this into more of a campaign, and how do we help you distribute it? How do we help you run it on Facebook or run it on Google Ads or whatnot? So that's sort of how we hope to differentiate our services. It's not like we'll come up with a great concept, a cool video for you, we'll produce it, cast it, whatever it might be, and complete it. But hey, let's not stop here. Let's also work together to sort of help you distribute it. Yeah. What's next? A series of videos, because as you guys know, you have to stay on top with the content that you're putting out and making sure that you're not sort of one and doning it.
Yeah.
It's
consistent
about consistency.
engagement. Yeah. And that the whole interesting move now, like to move into social media marketing, Facebook, clicks and ads. I know at a real estate company, we had a Google team of advertisers, so we do some pay-per-click and we do some Facebook marketing. It's crazy how advanced Facebook itself is getting with the with just online ads in general. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome that you guys do that, because like you said, it's gotten to become somewhat saturated, having a ton of people. Like you said, everybody has access to video creation, and it's awesome that you guys set yourselves apart and actually help people once they have the video figure out what to do with it. Because I feel like a lot of people who haven't looked into Google ads and Facebook marketing, A, are nervous about it, and B, just definitely don't know where to spend the money, and then they're wasting a crap ton of money.
Totally.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a couple people reach out and say, hey, you guys do decent stuff on Facebook. and we want to do Facebook marketing. I'm like, do a little bit of research or hire someone like you guys, because you might be paying them to help you with it, but you're going to waste a shit ton of money just trying to figure it out by yourself.
Right.
Just throwing an ad up and hoping it works.
Right. And then in that way, it's not like, oh, we've spent this money to make this video. Now what? We're able to say, look, we're turning this into sales for you that is trackable. That's the hopes of sort of this distributing online, right? And even if people still want to do, TV play, which is not necessarily dead. We can help with that too.
What do you think of that? Because I was listening. I think it was Gary Vee was doing his thing, and I like Gary Vee, but sometimes he gets crazy aggressive. But he was talking, I think, about a Subway campaign where they did a TV ad, and he was yelling about how by spending all the money they spent on the TV ad, they could have really got a much better reach on social media.
Yeah.
And he was saying how he thought they wasted their money. What do you see still works on TV?
I think, well, to talk on that, I think that most people are gearing now towards, especially when it comes to events and things, is spending all of their marketing dollars on social media, right? Yeah. So when it comes to Lobster Fest, Nick at Green Curtain Events and his team sort of manage the marketing aspects of it. And most of our dollars go towards online spends and social media spends. But when it comes to TV and there's still being validity there, I think there is, because it's not just like, hey, you can have a commercial play on a channel that is just regular TV, but there's also some now integration with DVR, and when you watch something on demand, it makes you watch the ad before you can skip ahead. So there is a lot of different ways to approach it, and I still think it's important. I mean, I still find myself watching TV, even pre-recorded TV, and watching the commercials. And when it comes to, if you're like, yes, we do want to hit TV because there is still a huge market obviously there, you can still target it based on what channels is your market inclined to watch more over so than other channels. And that's what digital TV allows us to do, is to say, no, we'll play this one on TNT and TBS, but the History Channel or whatever. But I still think that there is definitely validity in TV. It just becomes, how now do you catch their eye? How do you get them not to fast forward it if they DVR'd it? Right? How do you get them to not turn it down if you're watching live TV? Right. So then it becomes, if you're going online or if you're going on TV, even almost more so than social media, that how do you hook them right in those first 3 seconds, right, with whatever your ad is?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right, because, I mean, it drives me nuts when I have to watch, because, with some of the new DVRs and some of the shows, you have to actually watch the commercials. I'm like, damn it, I'm used to fast forwarding. So you can't fast forward this. But I feel like, I don't know what I was watching recently. I think it was like a Mountain Dew commercial that played. I think I was watching like a series that had just completed. So I was trying to watch them back to back. And every time it would start, I had to watch the same damn Mountain Dew commercial. But I was like, hey, by the end of it, I could recite the damn thing. They must have spent a fortune, because you had no choice but to watch that commercial with every single episode. And I'm guessing that was very pricey. But it was that same repetition. I would have probably never seen that ad as many times as I did if I saw it on social media, because I wouldn't have listened to it. I would have seen it once, and I've been like, okay, that's great. But now for 12 episodes, I'm like, damn it, it's like Dale Earnhardt Jr. and I forget who else was in it. It was just over and over and over again. I was stuck watching it.
Yeah, wasn't it the dude from HBO?
Eastbound and Down. Yeah. That was I forget which show I was watching, and I was stuck seeing that every single episode. I don't know what it was. It was one of the shows I was watching on Netflix or on DVR. What do you think and this is a loaded question, because I guess it depends on what sort of video marketing you're doing. But what's the attention span? People say sometimes 60 seconds. You got the Instagram went from 10 seconds to 60 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're around 8 seconds.
8, really?
I mean, you're still going to shoot for a 15 or 30-second spot, right? But, yeah.
You better hook them fast.
They say, 6 to 8 seconds or they're moving on. But yeah, exactly. Hook them fast, and then hopefully they'll watch the full
John,
30.
we got to do some crazy shit in the first 8 seconds from now on. We got 8 seconds to do crazy dumb shit before people stop listening to us, other than Maggie and your mom. Those are the only two people that watch us for more than 8 seconds. That whole 8-second thing, that to me is astonishing, that you got kind of 8 seconds to hook somebody, and then you kind of lose their attention span. Do you find that a lot of Facebook ads, and I'm almost just learning this from you now, and I'm probably going to call you after this and talk to you about it a little more in depth. Do you find that a lot of, kind of the scrolling on, your homepage Facebook ads go wasted because somebody's just not clicking to listen to it, and you almost need like kind of a visual hook as well? Because like if I scroll through my news feed, I'll see, a bunch of videos, but I don't actually end up
clicking.
So do you almost need like a visual hook as well?
Oh, well, totally. Yeah. I mean, you want that first image to stop them, right? And what is that? It really depends, and it depends on
your market,
the product or service or whatever it is you're marketing, and who that ad is being targeted to. So, but yeah, 100%. We always say with Lobster Fest, we default to a big cooked red lobster. There's something about it that everybody is drawn to, and so we try to lead with that in a lot of our marketing efforts. With just like, here's a big, sexy, tasty red lobster.
Yeah.
And that will kind of make people stop scrolling sometimes.
Stop me.
Unless you don't like seafood.
Then you're crazy.
Yeah, then you're crazy.
You know what video I still always think was one of the catchiest videos was that Dollar Shave Club video. Where the guy kind of like shaved and talked about his grandpa, and he like threw shit out of the way, and it was like, I hadn't ever seen anything like it until he did it, and then you saw a bunch of different people trying to kind of replicate that.
Sure.
And that was one of my favorite, most catchy, kind of seemed like a low budget video. And I spoke to somebody about video marketing a couple years ago for our company, and he's like, what do you want to do that's catchy? Like, shoot me a video. And I shot that to him, and he's like, yeah, they're really funny, and that was a really well written script that just caught on.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, those were kind of catchy for a little while. We got a couple people commenting. By the way, if you guys want me to ask Tim any questions, go ahead and comment away. Yeah. We got Alex Farher saying, I'm watching. Lawrence Dunning, who watches a lot, says, talking of food, Mo, no more Bob Chins for you. Screw you, Lawrence. True Food Kitchen should be your new spot. Organic and clean, perfect for your new diet. No thanks, buddy. I'm going to do once a month of Bob Chins still. Your event hosting space. Tell me more about that, because I know I got a lot of people from the Chicago Association of Realtors who watch, and I got a lot of buddies that host real estate related events. Cool looking space.
So at our space, when we're not using it for our own various shoots or meetings or whatever, we rent it out. So thefoxhole.com if you want to check it out.
Okay.
And look at various photos. But yeah, it's a smaller, more intimate space. Seating. If it's a seated event, more presentational, or even tables, like 40 or 50 people, but a standing event's more like 100. And then we have a nice little courtyard, backyard outside where, there's hanging lights and you can do fire pits and stuff. So people have even done smaller weddings, but all of our things are invite only, private events. We don't do open to the public events. It's sort of like for,
companies,
realtors getting together to have a holiday party, whatever it might be. And then it's also great sort of when it comes to needing to do a workshop or teach a class. We've got all the AV equipment that you would need, and projectors, and all that good stuff, and tables and chairs. And now there's a little kitchen in there. We just did a renovation last year, so we're hoping to do more. We've done some, but we're hoping to do sort of underground pop-up dinners, more of those. Cool. Again, invite only.
Yeah.
Sort of things, but we've had a couple events where we'll have a chef come in, and he's cooking there, and you can see him cooking, or her cooking, and then it's very intimate. Bring the food out, different courses, stuff like that. So,
can people cater in right now?
Yeah, you can bring your own food. You can bring
drinks.
your own chef. You can cook. You can, BYOB, whatever.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Those pop-up events are getting really popular.
Yeah.
They're popping up a lot and getting really, really popular. I've seen a couple of them. I haven't visited any this year, but I see people going to them on Instagram, social media constantly. It's becoming a big thing. Are you guys doing anything with the pop-up type events, helping host those things? Or
sometimes. I mean, the events that would happen at Foxhole, you wouldn't actually really hear about them necessarily unless you're invited. So, but yes, it's not like pop-up events, sell a ticket, come to this ticketed event. That's not the direction we're hoping to go. It's more like, hey, we're doing this thing. It's unique. It's different. It's in this 100-year-old building and,
Yeah.
come check it out. But because you're invited.
Yeah. Did you have a marketing background before you got into this, or
I
was it?
didn't. My background actually is in acting and theater. And then, I realized, pretty early on that like, yeah, I'll still always do the acting things. And I've had some success, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. And
Oh, nice.
I got a movie on HBO and stuff. So like,
Look at that.
Yeah, some stuff.
Get this guy's
I didn't
autograph.
tell you about it. No,
Absolutely.
not like that.
John, I'm starstruck.
But-
you didn't tell us.
But I realized early on, like, you can't just rely. You can't just do one
Yeah.
thing. And so I wanted to do other things, and I found a passion for this. And why not?
Yeah.
If you feel you're just sitting around all day waiting for an audition or working on your craft or whatever it might be. So, why not do other things? And I found just as much excitement and joy out of creating
Yeah.
things. And when it comes to like, managing events or these activations at other events or whatever, like I like seeing how you affect someone else,
Yeah.
that brings me joy, seeing that like someone's coming to Lobster Fest and having a great fucking time and eating an awesome lobster roll and loving it. I love that, and that's why we do it and why most people on my team do it. The money or anything that comes for it is sort of secondary.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you had kind of a passion for, I mean, acting in a sense too. You're acting and you're hoping that somebody really enjoys what you're doing in your work product.
And hoping that you touch them too.
Yeah.
And the character you're portraying is like, can sort of affect them. But yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's cool to see that kind of dynamic and what you want move into now the successful business that, like you said, was kind of a secondary thought, but your strengths kind of led you that way. Because John and I have a lot of different business owners like you on, and I always ask the question, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? And 8 out of 10 say yes. And then there's a couple people, and I'm guessing you're kind of like that, where you weren't like, oh my God, I want to go be a business owner. That wasn't like your first passion, right?
Well, it's sort of all overlapped in this sort of world of wanting to do lots of different things. And maybe that's sort of how acting is over encompassing. I want to play different characters. Well,
Yeah.
I want to be different people my whole life. I want to wear different hats my whole life. And because it was exciting, and I think early on, one of the first entrepreneurial type things that I did was I started this detailing company with my good buddy Jacob Daniel back in the day, and we'd go around and detail your car, right? And we were called Kingdom Detailing, and there was different like services or different like there was the silver platter or the royal treatment or whatever, and it was different sort of things. And I remember one time we went around passing out flyers, and someone finally called us because normally we'd just like wash our parents' friends' cars and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then someone finally calls us, and so we go over and we detailed their van, and they were like, so Kingdom Detailing, like kingdom, like the kingdom of Christ. And me and Jacob just kind of looked at each other, and we were like, yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
You got
it. And
Good
not
guess.
not that it wouldn't be, but it wasn't, and that's not why we called it that. But it was a funny situation because we both just like it was straight out of a sitcom. We both looked at each other, and almost at the same time, we're like, yeah, no,
that's
100%
exactly the
totally.
thought.
Yeah.
How'd you guess? But that kind of makes you really want to be an entrepreneur. I mean, going out and doing kind of the detailing thing on the side. And I guess I'm a little bit like you in that I was pre-med. I didn't want to do it. Went to law school, got out, got a real estate license. Then that was a business, now tech. And John and I are doing this. And I just always feel like, similar to you, I just want to wear different hats. I get very bored doing
Yeah.
the same thing every single day. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. They start off with one business and they're like, well, I want to do something else, or I get too, whether it's successful or not, I'm bored now in that kind of wearing that hat. I want to go try to do something else well,
Absolutely.
which is awesome. Are you a car guy? Because most people don't just start detailing unless they're kind of car guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was always into. I remember younger, way before I had my license, I was into go-karts and like dirt bikes, and
Yeah.
and so yeah, I guess sort of
Yeah.
a car guy, more with bikes, I would say, but yeah, I appreciate a good car show.
Yeah, I drove go-karts growing
nice.
up, and go-karts kind of got me into racing.
Yeah.
'Cause most people don't know this, but I'm like, hey, I used to drive go-karts. They used to assume like, oh, you went to Wisconsin Dells and did like the go-karts?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
These go-karts go really, really fast.
Sure.
You know,
Like
they go
shifter carts?
Yeah,
Or-
like
yeah,
shifter
yeah,
carts
yeah.
and stuff. So I was a big fan of motorsports, and that's kind of my big passion now. But yeah, anytime somebody tells me, you know, they did detailing, and I had a lot of car buddies that were doing detailing, I'm like, they got to be car people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I just think, because we figured out how to wash and wax cars pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's go do this, and then we'll have money, and we can go to the movies or whatever.
It wasn't
Do
because
other
God
stuff.
told you.
Yeah, it wasn't
God told
Kingdom.
you.
Yes, it was God. It was God. Yes, that, and because I really wanted a pair of Jinkos, and my parents would never buy me any.
Yeah.
So
I'm
had
going to
buy
go
our own
detail
Jinkos.
that van.
Yeah,
And
buy
I'm
a pair
gonna
of
get that
Jinkos.
pair.
Get some shoes that light up.
Yeah.
Because I never had those. Now they're everywhere. Some pumps.
When did you start acting? I took an acting class or two. John, I don't know
Oh,
if you
yeah?
knew that. But I took one or two. My aunt lives in Studio City in L.A., and she always used to tell my mom, like, have him come out and act. My dad's like, fuck that. He's going to school, and he's going to go to medical school, and he's not going out to L.A. So my dad had refused. He's like, I'm not putting him in any acting classes. My mom's
Yeah.
like, I'm putting him in acting classes. So I took a couple, but I was really, really young. And then it just kind of died out because my dad's like, we're not sending you anywhere. You're staying here and going to school.
It was early, you know. I think the earliest thing I can remember is making these videos with my friends, almost in elementary school, and we called it the Goonies, and it was like a weird, like, sort of play on this, like, redneck kids and funny shots jumping into pools and stuff like that. And then one time we tried to put on a play in my friend's backyard, and we took the monkey bars and set up sheets and, like, had curtains and everything, and we sold a couple kids in the neighborhood tickets for like $0.25 each to come see us, and we did our play for them. And then one of these girls that we sold a ticket to for 25 cents or whatever it was comes over, their mother comes over and demands that we give the money back
No
to
way.
the little girl. And I'm sitting here being like, wait, we just put on this crazy show for them, you know. And there was like 4 people from the neighborhood who came and watched our play, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so here I felt as a young entrepreneur, like,
I gave her some worth.
this is bullshit, man.
Yeah.
Like, we put on a show and we charged 25 cents for it, and she paid for it,
And there's
she
no damn
enjoyed
refunds.
it. Yeah, and there's no damn refunds. No. But then I think it was, you know, my brother Eric, I think, was an influence early on. He was in, he's my older brother Eric. He was in theater in middle school, and then I signed up to take the same drama classes with Brad Siegel was our drama teacher. Awesome guy. And that's kind of how I originally got into it. Then I went to an arts high school, then went to DePaul at the theater school here, and that's what brought me to Chicago.
Very cool. Were you originally from around here? You're
No,
just coming to
originally
Paul?
Florida.
Okay.
Grew up in Fruit Cove, Florida is the town. Just basically Jacksonville,
Okay.
kind of St. Augustine. And yeah, there's a really good art school there called Douglas Anderson School of the Arts. And then, you know, auditioned for colleges like you do, and ended up here.
That's a pretty cool. Your transition from doing acting into, you know, having a coach house with people renting space, musicians renting space, to having it become a business, John, I think is one of the coolest transitions into a business that we've had on here, because it's almost like you took a passion and you kind of kept with it, found a need, and then took that need and made that a successful business, which is cool. Because it's been interesting for me to have a bunch of different people on and see how they've kind of fallen into where they're at. Mine was more out of a necessity. I mean, I got out of law school. There were no jobs. So I was like, well, I'm not going to take a $35,000 job. So I'm just going to open my law firm
Sure.
and try to make it work. And then I had to get a second job because that sucked for the first couple of years. So I got a real estate license. So everything was out of necessity, not so much out of passion. I'm passionate now about it. But I love seeing kind of like a passion turn into a business. Any other events coming up? So what's the plan next year for Lobster, the Great American Lobster Fest? Are you guys going to keep the 3 cities, or are you going to, now that you've expanded, try to expand some more?
Yeah, I think the hope would be to continue to build it. I think, you know, it's maybe a little too early to say. I think that we need to get through this year and in the fall sort of reevaluate and look at how everything went and see if this is a model that is tourable, if you will.
Yeah.
And go from there. But I think it's cool. You know, we want to keep doing this festival in places that are not by an ocean on
Right.
purpose. You
Yeah.
know, like let's do something different. Let's fly this lobster in lots of big cities all across the U.S. and see how it goes. But I think time will tell.
Nashville, maybe.
A couple of things. Yeah, Nashville's on the list. You know, Colorado's on the list.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's on the list. Austin's on the list. San Antonio's on the list.
All cool spots.
Big list.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
no.
all cool spots there. I mean, it's
Drive
like,
down from Milwaukee.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're. I mean, I'll go out for any of them. Never turn down some lobster, but you know, John and I help out with this. It's off camera, so you can't see it. We got that Real Estate Rumble belt there, and we help out with the Real Estate Rumble, which is a Chicago-based real estate charity. And Cotter, who's it's actually just above us, his office. He runs it, and we went to LA last year, and it was the first year they had gone outside of Chicago, and it was a tough. You know, they went there, and you have to kind of get a local influencer and get hooked up with the local area, and then now they're going back a second time, and it's going to be much better this year, and they're expanding to Miami. But it was like that first year that we went outside of Chicago, we're like, oh, like you guys had, there's so many different things that you didn't expect to plan for, and now you do. And then I think this year, the second year going out of Chicago is probably going to get easier for them.
Sure. Yeah, they say, I mean, the first year in any new market is the hardest for
Tough,
sure. And
yeah.
then you've made the relationships and, you know, with the various vendors and partners that you might work with locally. And then the hopes is that it gets easier.
Yeah, hope it gets easier, and
Yeah.
you don't have any floods happening when you show
Yeah.
up. How about Foxhole? Any cool, anything coming up, any events, anything that you guys want to share with people? Any kind of
As far
news?
as events we actually produce ourselves, Lobster Fest is really the baby now, and the main thing. I think that, you know, we might be doing an expo soon, which is our own internal sort of event where we invite partners, clients, whatever, various people that we know to come and check out the space and mingle. So that might be coming up in the fall. So if you're really interested in that and you know these guys somehow and you want to come, then I guess you can get on the invite list. Yeah.
Look at that, everybody listening. Especially, you got to go through John and I.
Yeah, you gotta.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
But no, it's a lot of fun. And so the expo, we didn't do one last year because we were doing our renovations, and so this will be our 5-year anniversary in our space.
Congratulations.
As well as the Lobster Fest is 5 years. It sort of
Congrats.
just worked out that way. Yeah. So yeah, we'll probably do something like that. But when it comes to other projects we're working on from a video standpoint, we're doing a video for the Illinois Supreme Court Historic Preservation Commission.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's
a mouthful.
It's a big name. And so basically they're all about, you know, preserving old files and showing how they're applicable today. And
Oh, cool.
And which is super important in today's sort of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, let's not forget about what happened back then,
Yeah.
you know, moving forward and re-examining cases and talking about how important understanding the history of
Decisions.
Especially from an educational standpoint, like making sure that our youth understand how we got to where we are, and knowing the facts, especially in a world of all the fake news, and all alternative facts that there are. So yeah, it's a cool project. We're happy to be a part of it. It's an ongoing thing. We're getting the opportunity to interview justices, judges, big lawyers. We just interviewed Senate President Cullerton today, this morning. So yeah, it was super great, and it's just really insightful and pretty awesome to be able to sort of be in the room with these people that are super smart.
Yeah.
You know, so much more well spoken than I could ever be, and learn about, you know, the importance of understanding everything that we've learned from a legal standpoint leading up to now in this state and the country as a whole.
The attorney geek in me really loves that. I think that's really cool. And I agree. There's so much fake news and interpreted facts. So, you know, somebody takes a set of facts and then interprets them however the hell they want to interpret them. And then that almost becomes like the new fact. You know, people take that as the new fact
Right.
when it's completely different than
And as
the
long
actual
as it turns
fact.
into something that you're like, yeah, I like that, then
Yeah.
like that's the fact.
Then
right?
it's shared a million times on social media, and
Right.
then it's definitely the fact. And it's like the game of telephone. The original story, 300,000 shares on, is a completely different story.
Totally.
So that's neat. That's a very cool project. Any tips for entrepreneurs? You know, John and I always kind of put out these tips, and it's been interesting hearing it from people who've been on the show. So anything you want to kind of share as a kind
Yeah, I
of
mean,
tip?
I guess if I being a young entrepreneur would to say I've learned anything, I think that the most important thing would have to be relationships. I think that, you know, being honest and genuine with the people that you work with and forthright about shit and looking at everything from a standpoint of how does this benefit both of us and not just how does it benefit me is the most important thing anyone can do. I think that, you know, relationships, being honest, being clear, being open with everybody that you work with, vendors or clients, you know, is the most important thing. And this sort of idea of what it means to be professional is a topic that sort of comes up a lot. And I think that at the end of the day, you can approach something and say, oh, I need to be professional. This is what my idea of being professional is. Or you can just be genuine, even if that means saying, yeah, dude, fuck shit. Yeah, bro. Like, this is me.
Be you.
This is you. And we're going to do a lot more together by being completely honest with each other rather than pretending to be whatever we think this idea of professional is.
I love that. I, on my way back, was reading a book called The Go-Giver, and I'm about halfway through it. I don't know if you've read it or not. It touches on a lot of that being genuine and giving the other person value, you know, and then in return, not worrying about the compensation because that will come, but being able to, you know, connect with somebody and give them value. And I'm, you know, halfway through the book, but it's been a kick butt book, so I'm going to keep reading it.
What's it called again?
The Go-Giver.
The Go-Giver.
Yeah, really, really good book.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a very, very cool book. John, how much we're running? Because, oh, shoot, we got like 2 more minutes left.
Yeah.
This flew by. You know, we had only
was
one
good.
guest. I feel like I could talk to this guy for another 2 hours
Ditto.
again, and keep chatting. Anything as like a kind of hobby you do in your free time? Because you're wearing a lot of hats. So I always ask people, you know, if you're wearing a lot of hats, anything you do that gets you away from having to do all the stuff that you do?
I guess something that I like that I haven't been able to do lately as much that no one really knows is I like to swim.
Okay.
I love to be able because swimming you can completely
Michael
get away
Phelps
with
and you.
Yeah, right. Except for without the body. But you know, no technology, just being able to be in the water and get away. That and play guitar. Band called Catch.com if you want to check out some of the tunes.
What kind of music?
It's sort of like some would say poppy. There's some folk in there too.
Okay.
You know, yeah, fun. Just sort of fun music sometimes. A little lovey-dovey, but
Open water or swimming pool water swim?
I would do both, but mostly it's the swimming pool. One thing I definitely want to do is I want to swim across the lake front, you know, by the playpen. I want to do that one day. I see people swimming like long treks there.
I did the Chicago Triathlon now 10
You
years
did?
ago.
Wow, cool.
And that's where I would go train. I would just jump in there and start swimming there. And yeah, there's some swimmers there because I'm slow. I was a slow swimmer. That was my worst part of the triathlon was swimming. But there's some people who are just like, they're way the hell out there, come all the way back. And I think where you go to kind of where the wall breaks is a mile. So you can get a mile out and a mile back. And then they have buoys at like the quarter mile, half mile. So you can swim out and set your distances.
Cool.
But yeah, that's a cool place to swim.
And when you wear goggles, can you see?
Yeah, you can
A
see.
little
I mean,
murky,
it's shallow enough there where it's not that murky, but the lake's pretty dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, I would get out, go home, and shower right
Sure.
away because it was pretty bad. When we did the triathlon, I think it was in Monroe Harbor, and that was real dirty because it was in the actual harbor. And
Sure.
people dumped their boats crap, and
Yeah.
there's fuel and stuff. So when I got in that water, I'm like, whoa, that's a lot worse than just being right up alongside because it's Ohio Street Beach, I think you go out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not a good swimmer. I sucked at it. But it is very therapeutic because you really don't have anything. Even when you're running, I mean, I run now with my cell phone because it's my music.
Absolutely.
And then it's ringing and, you know, somebody's bugging you. But when you're in the water, that's it.
And some people are like, oh, do you want like one of those waterproof like iPhone watches or whatever? I'm like, no, I don't want
you in
that.
the water.
Well, they make waterproof headphones, and I'm like, nope, don't even want those. I just want me and myself and maybe a little bit of something else, and then I can just sort of
Swim
drift away.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. We ran out of time. We got to have this guy back on again. I'm bummed I'm not going to be at Lobster Fest. John,
Next year.
You'll have to send me some videos.
You got to eat twice the lobster.
Yeah, twice the lobster for me, buddy. Thanks again a lot for being on. Guys, that was episode 19. Next week, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we got episode 20. We're going to have a great show next week as well. Thanks again for listening. I had a ton of fun. And
Thanks
again,
for having
thanks,
me.
Tim.
Yeah, good times.
And John, fix your mic so everybody else can hear you.
I will. Are we out?
We're out, buddy.
All right, hold on. In 3, 2, 1.